In a small temple perched halfway up the mountain, there was a young novice monk only 13 years old. Since the day he entered the temple, he had diligently swept the yard, chanted scriptures, and carried out every task without complaint. Yet, in those clear eyes still gleamed a deep longing. What truly makes a person mature? That afternoon, after sweeping the yard, the novice timidly approached the master and softly asked, "Master, what does it mean to be truly mature?" The master looked at him for a moment, his gaze as gentle as the spring breeze. Then he slowly took a bamboo stick and drew 3 rectangles on the ground, lined up like 3 silent doors. "These are the 3 doors of life," the master said slowly. "To become truly mature, everyone must pass through them on their own, but not with their feet, rather with experience and enlightenment." The novice's eyes widened. "So, what must I do to pass through them?" The master spoke slowly. "Go down the mountain and journey through the world. First, you must learn to see the truths that others cannot see. Second, you must learn to hear what others do not say. Third, you must understand the difference between wisdom and greed. When you have found the answers, return." Hearing this, the novice's heart stirred with excitement. That night, he could hardly sleep, thinking only of those mysterious doors. The next morning, after receiving permission, he donned his brown robe, carried a small cloth bag with some dry bread and a flask of water, and set off down the mountain to begin his journey. The novice monk walked on and eventually reached a lowland village. As soon as he stepped into the marketplace, he saw a scene that made his heart sink. A big, burly man was beating a frail farmer right in the middle of the street. The farmer fell to the ground, his face covered in dust and dirt. What surprised the novice most was that many people passed by, but no one stopped to intervene. Some turned their faces away, others pretended to be busy buying and selling, and some even pulled their children aside to avoid trouble. Anger flared in the boy's heart. He ran forward, spread his arms in front of the farmer, and shouted, "Why are you beating someone so weak? That's wrong." The bully turned in rage and slapped the boy hard across the face. The onlookers, instead of helping, shook their heads and muttered, "Little monk, why meddle in other people's business? That's just how things are here. Leave it alone if you want to stay safe." The boy was knocked to the ground along with the farmer, who could only bow his head in trembling gratitude. That night, the novice stayed in the farmer's small, shabby hut. The farmer told him in a shaky voice, the bully had started by robbing children at the market when no adults were around. Seeing that the villagers kept silent, fearing trouble, he grew bolder. Now he even beat and robbed the weak and elderly in broad daylight, knowing no one would stop him. After hearing this, the boy sat in silence. He realized many people choose not to see the truth to avoid trouble. But the truth is still there. Evil still exists, and if everyone keeps turning away, injustice will only continue to grow. The novice kept this lesson in his heart. Seeing with the eyes is not enough. One must also dare to open the heart to truly see. Leaving the village, the boy walked for days across fields and low hills. One evening, as the sun was setting, he reached a small village on the edge of a forest. On the dirt road leading in, he saw a little boy, about 6 years old, standing by a tree. His face was dirty, his clothes torn and ragged, but in his eyes was a look as if he wanted to say something. The novice walked over gently and asked, "Why are you standing here all alone?" The child only hung his head and stayed silent. Some adults passing by glanced over and said, "He has nothing to tell. Poor is just poor, that's all. Everyone suffers." But the novice looked closely into the boy's eyes. There was such deep sorrow there, as though he was waiting for someone to truly listen. The novice spoke softly, asking a few more questions. At first, the boy pressed his lips tightly together, but then suddenly burst into tears, sobbing that his parents had died early and he hadn't eaten for days. He was too afraid to beg, thinking no one would help. Hearing this, the villagers finally understood and hurried to bring food and clothes for the child. The novice kept this lesson in his heart. Not everyone speaks of their suffering. To listen to silence is to listen with compassion. After many days of walking, the boy came to a bustling city. The streets were crowded, noisy, full of people buying and selling. He saw many who lied for small profits, cheated customers with false weights, or tricked them in trade. Some were wealthy, yet wore anxious, worried faces, fearing loss. Once he sat talking with a tailor who lamented, "All my life I've wanted to open another shop to make as much money as others, but the more I desire, the more tired I am, and I can't sleep at night." The novice listened, then thought, "Wisdom does not lie in knowing how to gain more and more, but in knowing what is enough. Only by letting go of greed can the mind be at peace." Looking around the city, he realized the greediest people were often the most restless. Those who lived simply and shared with others seemed calmer and more at ease. The novice kept this lesson in his heart. True wisdom is the understanding not clouded by ambition. After many months of traveling, the novice monk's straw sandals were worn thin, and his brown robe had faded with dust from countless roads. At last, he returned to the small temple halfway up the mountain. That day, the master was sweeping the yard, his figure thin and frail, but his eyes still as gentle as on that afternoon long ago. The novice knelt down, bowed deeply, and began slowly. "Master, I have passed through the 3 doors you spoke of by visiting 3 different places. In the first village, I saw people deliberately refusing to see the wrong before their eyes. I understood. Seeing with the eyes is not enough. One must dare to open the heart to truly see." He paused, his voice quieter. "In the second village, I met a child standing silently by the road. By listening to that silence, I discovered the suffering hidden within. I learned it is easy to hear spoken words, but to hear the pain behind silence is far harder." Taking a deep breath, he continued, "And in the bustling city, I saw how greed makes people restless. I realized true wisdom lies in knowing when to let go, in knowing what is enough so the heart can be at peace." When he finished, he looked at the master. The master simply nodded, a gentle smile on his face. He said softly, "Physical maturity comes with time, but spiritual maturity requires experience and awakening. You have walked through the 3 doors of life. From now on, you will grow not only in what your eyes see and ears hear, but also within your own heart." The temple bell rang out, clear and resonant, echoing through the windy mountain afternoon. True maturity does not come merely from age or the growth of the body, but from experiences, reflection, and awakening within the soul. Each person in life must pass through 3 doors like the young novice, to see the truth, to hear the unspoken, and to understand wisdom. The first door reminds us that many times the truth lies right before our eyes, yet people pretend not to see it out of fear of trouble. Such indifference only allows evil to thrive. To be truly mature, we must have the courage to face the truth, not only with our eyes, but with bravery in our hearts. The second door teaches us that not all pain is spoken aloud. There are silences filled with suffering, waiting for a compassionate heart to listen. Maturity means having the patience and empathy to understand what is hidden behind those quiet moments. The last door emphasizes that wisdom is very different from greed. Many believe that happiness comes from amassing wealth, but in reality, the more greedy one becomes, the more restless the heart is. Letting go, knowing what is enough, brings true peace of mind. Therefore, the lesson for everyone is this: grow with eyes that dare to see, ears that truly listen, and a heart that knows sufficiency. Only then do we not just grow in form, but also mature in spirit, living more peacefully and meaningfully.